Incoming transmission from the battlefield. Dial tone contacting the pit. Well, here we go with a G.I. Joe classified dial tone review on TAKTAK Toys, and he's been in the field for quite a while. Starting to arrive in collectors' hands now, I'm Mark, I'm back. And let's look at G.I. Joe classified dial tone together. So the question is he any good and worth the long wait we have had? Well, the first thing we notice is our boy dial tone in the window packaging here, and he's a nice, faithful update to the original 80s O-ring design, accessories and gear. Excellent details and a faithful colour scheme are evident on the figure, even within the packaging. And so in terms of the packaging, it's the standard look we have come to expect. With G.I. Joe classified, a nice window displaying the figure, we do see all his accessories, which is nice. Dial tone is number 149 in the classified series. One thing I noted, they have put the real name of the character next to his call sign or code name. So in other words, the box says dial tone, but not Jack Dial Tone. Morelli, like previous G.I. Joe classified boxes, which have included characters' real names. I mean, that was a nice gimmick, but let's be honest, it wasn't really essential. The sides of the box have the QR code on one side and a large artwork of dial tone on the other. The back of the box has a digital render, I think, of dial tone in action with a tank in the background. Nice little Easter egg there. Not sure what tank it is though. Oh, and Leatherneck on patrol as well. Who was dial tone wave mate, in other words? Leatherneck was in the same wave as dial tone here. So dial tone is an expert at communications like Breaker. And for more communication, let's dive a little deeper into this review. So here he is, straight out of the package and not even yet out of the clamshell, that's the term for the plastic packaging, which holds the figure. And we get a nice look at his accessories as well as a first look at dial tone. Dial tone has a bunch of gear that is really reminiscent of his O-ring counterpart. He's got a 9mm Parabellum submachine pistol with a silencer. Yes, I'm not a guns guy, so I had to look that up. Shout out to Lyle's Figure Files. This is black and has a clip for his mobile phone accessory, which is of course something that didn't exist in the same format in the 80s, so that's new. And then dial tone comes with his classic backpack. Now, one thing I forgot to do in the review is show you that there is a compartment which stores a laptop in the back of the backpack. So accessories wise, we have a mix of faithful old with updated new that makes sense for the character. No extra heads or hands. So let me ask you in the comments if you picked up dial tone or you're watching this review with the intention of picking him up. He's currently set to be in stock again at the whole shebang at the time of this video in early October. Would you have liked extra hands or another head with dial tone for any toy photography options over the accessories? Let me know in the comments below. I feel like one aspect where the Joe team are leaving money on the table is accessory packs. If they made those Pulse exclusives or something, is that something you would like to see in classified? Let me know in the comments below. So this video is not for kids or any operatives of Cobra trying to spy and gain a communications advantage over G.I. Joe. Yo, Joe! So dial tone is here out of the package, and we can immediately see he's got designs which are faithful to the O-ring dial tone form, the 86 series. He's got a sort of gentleman soldier look about him with his slight moustache and beret, and a nice colour scheme in the uniform with a beige shirt over a green vest and some strapping with 2 silver grenades. The green colour scheme extends to his knee pads and he wears black trousers or pants to complete the look. This is turning into a bit of a fashion show. And with many classified figures now, he's essentially a faithful recreation of his 80s counterpart with a few modern updates here and there, both to his own uniform and his gear and equipment. Dial tone has a striking paint job with colour variety in his uniform to add the necessary visual pop on the shelf or in toy photography. It's grounded military colours, but a nice mix of colours on the uniform. Dial tone also has a really good face print. Using the face print tech that works well for Hasbro. The original figure had elements of silver, which Classified have swapped to black parts. Now, I didn't have the original figure, so shout out to Lyle's Figure Files for that bit of knowledge. And Dial Tone is one of those characters from G.I. Joe that represents 80s technology, given a retro-futuristic twist, although the inclusion of a mobile phone does update him nicely, like Soundwave from Transformers as a cassette player. A massive communications backpack on Dial Tone does seem a bit of a nostalgic 80s tech idea of what future communication technology would be like. One small gripe here is that Dial Tone's shoulder strap with the grenades does have a tendency to lift off the figure, which is a bit annoying, but not a massive deal. Dial Tone has a device on his right wrist and a watch on his left one. Dial Tone also has a pouch on his belt to hold some of his gear. His right leg has a holster for a comms device that is not removable, while his left boot has a sheath for his knife. His beret is removable, but as you can see here, this is Dial Tone with all his gear on him. Dial Tone has a light tan shirt which sports a telecom badge with a horse and a lightning bolt on the left arm. That is a modern tweak to the real American hero design. His armband is black to match the all-black gloves. The Classified team toned down his brighter colours, mostly by swapping out the silver paint elements with black. His toolkit is still silver, while his watch is black with a painted faceplate. So that's a general look at the figure out of the package, which is a good-looking figure, and also very true to the 80s figure and character of Dial Tone, also featured in the Sunbow G.I. Joe animated series, with some differences here and there. And if you're enjoying this review so far, let me know in the comments below. Is Dial Tone a Classified figure you have on pre-order? He should be coming out on general release in the US and Canada about now. Of course, some collectors also got him a while ago. Distribution is all over the place at the moment, and loads of pre-orders seem to be coming in at once. So maybe from first impressions of Dial Tone, we can have a look at some comparisons with some of his G.I. Joe friends from work. And feel free to smash that like button, hype the video so it gets shared around YouTube, and feel free to become a channel member for even more content. I've just done a members video which has gone public, which was a sort of informal chat about a Marvel Legends wave, which collectors might prefer Marvel zombies or battle-damaged Marvel characters. So feel free to join for all sorts of 6-inch action figure chats like that. Anyway, time for some comparisons with Dial Tone and fellow Classified and 6-inch fantasy military figures. And you may have noticed at the start of the video, G.I. Joe Classified crystal ball with TAKTAK around him. Feel free to check out my crystal ball review, and I'll leave a link to that video in the comments below. Right, so first up we have a comparison with Dial Tone, and my all-time favourite G.I. Joe Classified figure so far, Starduster, leader of the TAKTAK. So as you can see, Dial Tone and Starduster scale really nicely together. I had no previous attachment to Starduster. I never had the figure as a child, as he was a mail-away figure with the Action Stars cereal, which I'm pretty sure we never got in the UK. But this Classified figure is such a cool figure. He's on the retro Duke body, which is a great figure in its own right. He's a deep cut, and a dude in a jetpack and jump flight gear is okay with me. I think Dial Tone shares the same legs as Scrap Iron. I noticed that as reused at least, and would it be funny if we got Classified figures as mail-aways, like the old days of the 80s? I like gimmicks like that. Anyway, here is Dial Tone next to Starduster. And then from Starduster we go to Sergeant Slaughter, the Mad Marauders version of Sergeant Slaughter. And I have to admit, I like this figure a lot more than I thought I would. considering I have the OG classified version of Sergeant Slaughter in my collection. And we have a third Sir Slaughter on the way in a 2-pack with Mercer. So Sergeant Slaughter is a larger figure, so you can see here what a regular sized figure like Dial Tone looks like, stacked up alongside the Sarge. Fallen Maggots! At ease, disease. So, if Dial Tone and Sergeant Slaughter team up, Sergeant Slaughter could be bashing the living daylights out of some battle android troopers' whist Dial Tone relays how the battle is going or calls in support from headquarters. Not that Sergeant Slaughter needs much backup. The cartoon always portrayed his as a one-man army. And I know the original line didn't have this, but a Mad Marauders version of Dial Tone would be a nice addition to their team in classified form. And then from Gaijo Classified, we go to Valaverse Action Force, the original Delta Ops Trooper. I think there is a 2.0 version of this guy on the new body, I might be wrong. There is a 2.0 Infantry Commando. The original of that guy was a Dorkside exclusive, and I love that figure. I have it in my collection. It's a shame Action Force is hard to get in the UK now, as they make for great accompanying figures to G.I. Joe. Classified as do Operation Monster Force. These were the figures that were the green shirts in my collection. Of course, now we are getting green shirts in Classified as part of the retro card collection. So as you can see here, Dial Tone scales really nicely with Valaverse Action Force. What's the majority of your collection? G.I. Joe Classified, Valaverse Action Force, or Operation Monster Force? Let me know in the comments below. And then let's have a look at the AliExpress 60th anniversary Halo Jumper and Marine Sniper. These are apparently factory excess. I thought they might be KOs. The plastic does feel different to the original, so I'm still not 100% sure anyway. If you fancy checking them out, I have a review on my channel and I'll drop a link in the comments below. The Halo Jumper is still available in most AliExpress sellers, but the female Marine Sniper has sold out in a lot of places. But these are quite decent, and if you pick a good seller on AliExpress with a 5-star rating, then you'll be fine. And obviously we have the firefighters as part of the Legacy collection, and police officers, which seem to have sold out everywhere, and rumoured medics on the way, so the Legacy line has a lot to offer. Not only G.I. Joe Classified collectors, but also Marvel Legends collectors who want to build out emergency services to support their street heroes are main characters in the Marvel universe. Anyway, here's the 60th anniversary troops, which are a precursor to those Legacy emergency services, alongside Dial Tone. Right then, so we have done a few comparisons with Dial Tone and friends from work. Now let's have a look at his articulation. And one thing that both the Fwoosh and Lyle's figure files mention in their reviews is the neck having hindered articulation, with a ball joint at the base of the neck, but the neck being too big for the hole. That's what they all say, with the barbell joint at the top of the neck not having any clearance. Now, I'll be honest, that's not something I noticed. When I was playing around with him, I think it depends how much of an articulation junkie you are. And we got a further look at his 9mm Parabellum submachine gun pistol and silencer, and the mobile phone that mounts onto it and is locked in play pause mode. So the head can look around in a 360-degree motion if you want him to behave like an owl. The arms go out to a T-pose nicely. Double jointed elbows and also butterfly joints. Wrists have 360 motion. Now the vest is said to limit his ab crunch articulation, drop down hips, double jointed knees and boot cuts with ankle rockers. So just like most classified figures, Dial Tone has head and neck articulation, shoulders with a butterfly joint on both sides of course, double jointed elbows and wrist hinge articulation, mid-tors and torso articulation limited a bit by the vest, waist swivel, drop down ball jointed hips and double jointed knees with boot cuts, ankle articulation So there you go, you can see all that lovely articulation is action as mentioned before. I'm not sure how much people care about the articulation segments of any reviews of action figures. Let me know in the comments below. Is that the part you enjoy? Or do you prefer the comparisons with other action figure lines, or just a general overview with the articulation and comparisons with other toy lines covered? We have got more comparisons with other 6-inch action figure lines to come. So stay tuned for all that. There you go. You're getting to see Dial Tone kick his own arse. It's basically all the articulation you would expect from a classified figure, with the exception of limited neck articulation and a rising chest strap, being a bit of a hindrance, not a point of articulation, but worth mentioning. The good does definitively outweigh any areas for constructive criticism and improvement though. So basically, you can dial Tone into fun poses. Just have him standing in a vanilla pose like this on the shelf, or have sitting at a desk handling comms alongside the upcoming mainframe classified figure and breaker if you like. Dial Tone looks nice teamed up with any of the Joes, as you can see earlier in the video, and comes with a nice range of accessories which are suitable to his code name and abilities on the battlefield. He's a regular release figure, so unlike the Target and Walmart exclusives, he shouldn't be too much of an issue to get hold of once more, and more retailers do get him in stock, as well as Hasbro Pulse. Dial Tone has a code name that is relevant for the 80s. No one uses dial-up anymore for communication, but he's sort of retro futuristic in a fun way. It just really depends who you want your communications expert to be on the G.I. Joe team, or if you want a sub-team of communications experts with breaker, mainframe and dial tone and dial. And then of course perhaps a natural matchup might be to pit your G.I. Joe classified figures up against your NECA Predators. So here is Dial Tone standing cautiously next to a NECA Predator. And of course 52 Toys are making a 1/12 scale Predator as NECA. Have been a bit quiet with the Predator franchise as of late, as Turtle seems to be doing really well for NECA. And you can see more on that 52 Toys 1/12 scale Predator in episode 78 of Flicks and Figs. And I'll leave a link to that episode in the comments down below. Have you got many NECA Predators in your action figure collection? If so, which ones do you have? Let me know in the comments below. And we really could do with a re-release of that NECA Arnie that came out around 2017 to 2018, something like that. But even better, a 1/12 scale Arnie from Predator, from Mafex or someone like that, to go with the Joe's Classified collection. But yeah, if you want Dial Tone to organise an extraction out of a hot LZ zone before the Predator skins Joe's and Cobra alive alike, then here's how they stack up side by side and hopefully not against each other. Grab some mud and use the trees Dial Tone. And then from Predator, we go to the Marvel Legends section of comparisons. Now, of course, in the comics, Predator is taking on the Marvel Universe. And if Dial Tone needs some backup against the Predator, he could call upon the Marvel Legends Eric Masterson Thor from the 2-pack with the Destroyer. And I always liked the Eric Masterson run on Thor by Walt Simonson. It was a really fun run. And take on Thor being a transformed human. Everyman to Thunder God character, the Marvel Legends figure isn't bad, but a cloth goods cape could really help take this figure to the next level. I mean, if you want to see a G.I. Joe classified, which tends to be more true 1/12 scale, with bigger Marvel Legends figures, then here you go. Perhaps the Joes could accompany Thor to Asgard to fight frost giants or something cool like that. Why not? And from Marvel Legends, we go to the DC Universe, and specifically Mattel DC Kingdom. Come in 6-inch scale. So these are the figures from the Collect and Connect waves just before license passed from Mattel to McFarlane. And 7-inch, hopefully these new 2026 Mattel figures will be 6-inch and have some kind of similar articulation schemes to Marvel Legends. So if Dial Tone needs to call in the big guns, here's Kingdom Come Superman. I think I'll be in for a Mattel 6-inch John Cena Peacemaker from Mattel. Maybe some of the Suicide Squad guys. It will be interesting to see if we get both comic and movie DC figures from Mattel. Not long to wait now to see what's cooking from Mattel. I imagine as 2026 is not too far off at all. That's a scary thought. There's a few DC teams, Creature Commandos, Suicide Squad that could maybe fit in with the Joes. It's going to be an even better time to be a collector in 2026. And then let's have a look at Super 7 Ultimates Turtles Leonardo to go alongside Dial Tone. There's absolutely tons of choice when it comes to having the Joes team up with the heroes in a half shell. And to be honest, it's strange we haven't had Guy Joe and Turtles team up in any mass media yet. I do like these Super 7 Ultimates Turtles as they are so reminiscent of the original toys. Just like Dial Tone here is reminiscent of the 80s Joe line in his classified update. And of course the original cartoon. Masaliti. Super 7 seem to skim down a lot of their Ultimates lines, and the Ultimates Joes, for example, seem to be convention exclusives only now. It seems from Brian Flynn speaking to Veebs and Robo. From Robo, don't know. Collectors preferred classified. So anyway, here's Dial Tone from classified next to Leonardo. From Super 7 Ultimates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then feel free to check out my 60th anniversary Halo Jumper and Marine Sniper review, as I mentioned before. Here's a comparison of them with G.I. Joe Classified Starduster and Mattel 6-inch Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. And a sneak peek of what's coming up on the channel. A review of the G.I. Joe Classified Retro Card Viper. I was surprised at how different these are to the single-release Cobra Island and 3-pack Vipers, so stay tuned for that on the channel. I've also got some other reviews in mind, and plenty of flicks and figs, news, no doubt, with Wonderfest happening at the time of me editing this Dial Tone review. And with that in mind, let's jump to some shout-outs. And if you're enjoying the content so far, please do comment down below. With any and all thoughts and opinions, I try and reply to everyone, and smash the like button and the hype button if you don't mind. Let's share this Dial Tone review with anyone you think might enjoy it. So yes, for all the latest Marvel Legends news and reviews, check out Dan Who Reviews. Check out Jay's Toy Collection UK. Just Justin Collects. Loads of great UK independent action figure retailers, including the whole shebang, whom I picked up Dial Tone from. Mikey Moon Boots and Adam Batman. Moran Figure Cave Collectibles and Tom Mini Plastic Multiverse on Instagram. And I'll leave links in the comments below for as much as possible. And Chris from Mod Extra Games and Collectibles and John Complusive Collector. Both fellow classified collectors. And I should be meeting Chris from Mod Extra Games and Collectibles for MCM Comic Con October, as well as Dan Who and the Who crew. I can't bloody wait for that. So here is the Black Series next to G.I. Joe Classified, the Cantina Band. If you have Cold Slither, you can have a battle of the bands, which is fun. The type of music that the Cantina Band play is called Jizz Yes. Really, George Lucas, though it was a good idea to name the music that, the hive of scum and villainy enjoy jizz. There's a statement I bet you thought you'd never hear on TAKTAK Toys reviews. And from Black Series comparisons to G.I. Joe Classified, we go to CT Toys and the Tiger Stripe Wolverine. And I have Daredevil on the way from CT Toys, so stay tuned for a review on the channel for that. I'd actually like to see CT Toys do some 6-inch G.I. Joe stuff randomly. As I mentioned before, there is those Halo Jumper and Marine Sniper KO Factory XS, whatever they are, AliExpress figures. But anyway, here is CT Toys up alongside G.I. Joe Classified Dial Tone. Right then. So let's give our overall thoughts on G.I. Joe Classified Dial Tone. Firstly, is it worth the price of a standard G.I. Joe Classified figure? I would say yes. Obviously, none of us collectors want rising action figure prices. But in terms of a classified figure which represents the classic O-ring character with various updates and tweaks here and there. He should be coming into stock generally in the US and Canada at the time of this video. The shoulder strap which moves up and limited neck articulation could be improved. But really, what figure couldn't have constructive improvements? So what are your thoughts on dial tone? Do you like what you have seen in this review? Have you got dial tone already? Let me know in the comments below. So if you like communication devices to communicate whilst communicating, dial tone is your man. Some Joes can be very plain army guys, but dial tone has a nice uniform with lots of nice colour and great accessories, and he's got good articulation generally and reuse of scrap iron legs. But Classified is so good at reuse, which is cleverly used and suits the figure and character it is done on. He's a solid release overall, so let's give him a score out of 10, shall we? So, I'm going to give dial tone 8.5 out of 10. I know 8 seems to be my favourite number with my reviews. To be honest, dial tone could even get an 8.9 perhaps. That's more fair. He's really good. There are a few things that could be even better. The neck articulation as mentioned, and the rising strap. Dial tone is a great addition to the Classified line and continues that tradition of upscaling the classic 3.75 figures into 6-inch form, which collectors are loving and makes the line so successful. So I hope this review has given you something to think about regarding G.I. Joe Classified dial tone. Or you're anything like me, you'll watch reviews even if you have the figure just to get the opinions of the YouTuber who is doing a review of the figure. So maybe you have dial tone and are watching this to see what I think, or maybe he's one on your wish list. I hope you had fun. More reviews to come on the channel, including CT Toys Daredevil and Storm Arena Bakey Yujiro Hanma as well. And of course, G.I. Joe Classified Retro Card Vipers will be up next for review. And all the latest 6-inch action figure news, and until next time, enjoy those flicks and figs. Yo Joe!